Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from group 2 with the member are Mira Asmira, Galung Setya, Fitrotuz Zakiah, Amalia Firda Damayanti, and me, Tiffany Fadella Heryati. And now we will present about the result of our group work with the destination, namely character. Before we go to the discussion, there are the points of the presentation. The first is definition of character, the second is the types of character, and the last is the example of the character in literature.
Okay, I will explain about character. Definition of character: all stories need certain necessary elements. Without these elements, literary works often fail to make sense. For instance, one of the essential elements of every story is a plot with a series of events. Another important element is a character. The character may be entirely fictional or based on a real-life person. It can be any person, a figure, an inanimate object, or animal. In literature, characters guide readers through their stories, helping them to understand plot and ponder themes. There are different types of characters, and each serves its unique function in a story or a piece of literature.
Next is types of character. Types of character is first is confident, dynamic, static, antagonist, protagonist, round, flat, and stuck. Definition of confidence. A confidant is someone in whom the main character confides. He reveals the central character's thought, intention, and personality traits. However, a confidant need not necessarily be a person. An animal can also be a confidant. Next is dynamic. A dynamic character changes during the course of a novel or a story. This change in character or his or her outlook is permanent. That is why sometimes a dynamic character is also called a developing characters. Last is static. A static character remains the same throughout the whole story. Even the events in a story or novel do not change characters' outlook, perceptions, habits, personality, or motivations. Next is example of characters. The first is confident. The characters of confidence like Aragorn from The Lord of the Rings, and Heir to Land of Kings gives up his title. However, over the period of time, he discovers his leadership skills and decides to regain his crown. Next is dynamic. Example of dynamic characters is Forrest Gump, who has a below average IQ. Gump's limitations have even led him to an extraordinary life journey. In fact, the managed to have a good influence on the people around him. The story came from novel Forrest Gump by Winston Groom. And the last is static. Example of character static is Snow White. Snow White is very kind and full of love throughout the story, so she is included in type of static characters.
Okay, next types of character. Here there are antagonist, protagonist, and round. First, antagonist. An antagonist is a bad guy or an opponent of the protagonist or the main character. The action in the story arises from a conflict between the protagonist and the antagonist. The antagonist can be a person, an inanimate object, an animal, or nature itself. Next, protagonist. Every story has a protagonist, the main character, who creates the action of the plot and engages readers, arousing their empathy and interest. The protagonist is often a hero or heroine of the story, as the whole plot moves around him or her. Next, round. The round characters are well developed and complex figures in a story. They are more realistic and demonstrate more depth in their personalities. They can make surprising and puzzling decisions and attracts readers' attention. There are many factors that may affect them, and round characters react to such factors realistically. In the next, the examples of character. Okay, first, antagonist. Here the example of antagonist, we can see that here there is Voldemort. Voldemort's obsession with blood purity signifies his aim to rid the wizarding world of magic, non-magical heritage and conquer both worlds, magic and wizarding, to achieve pure blood dominance. The second protagonist, here there is Lago. At some point, it seems that Lago is the protagonist, since he dominates the entire play and delivers soliloquies. Also, in the opening lines, Lago describes himself as someone who wishes to destroy Othello. The last is round. Here there is Katniss Everdeen. Katniss from the Hunger Games is a strong woman but can also be vulnerable. She is also smart but can make mistakes when she panics. And she loves her family but finds it hard to open up. Thus, Chance represent her into a round character. Okay, for the next, we will continue by my friends.
Okay, now I would like to continue about the next types of character that already my friends explained about. And then the next one is flat. Flat character in literature does not change during a story. Also, he or she, or the character itself, usually only reveals one or two personality traits. And also the last is, the eighth one is stock character. A stock character is a flat character that is instantly recognizable by readers. Like a flat character, the stock character does not undergo any development throughout the story. So these are the examples of the character itself, their self. The flat is James Halliday from the novel Ready Player One. So James Donovan Halliday is the side character on tech industry businessman in the backstory in Ready Player One. He was the creator of Oasis, a massive online simulation used by billions of people in the world. In the story's dystopian future setting. So in this character itself, James Halliday has only few characteristic traits inside of himself, like he's so calm and also he's so clever. Besides that, he's so wise when he was in the movie itself, in the movie of Ready Player One, and also in the novel. And also the last is stock character. They are Oompa Loompa. Oompa Loompa is one of the character in the movie and novel of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. The Oompa Loompa from novel Charlie and Chocolate Factory are mischievous, loving to play practical jokes and also singing songs. they are employees in Willy Wonka factory. So it is why Oompa Loompa is really recognizable for the readers, because like they have a really unique character. But beside of that, they didn't have any development inside of their character itself. So they're just only plain in that kind of characteristics, such as like to joking, and also like to sing a song, and many else, as we know in the movie and also in the novel itself. So those are all about the examples of character between flat and also stock. So I return to my my speaker. Thank you.
And that's all from us. If we have many mistakes, pardon us please. And last we say, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.